What's up guys, it's me, Baby Weenus. I'm here with another deck guide for Legends of Runeterra. Today the deck's going to be what I call Braum the Elusive. This is a deck I've been playing a lot on Ranked and have won 80% of my games so far. I've played 40 games, I've won the first 32. At one point I actually won 12 in a row with this deck. So I think if you give this a shot, you'll have a lot of luck with it. So let's get into it. So this deck focuses on three big things. So the first one is going to be elusive units. For those of you who don't know, elusive units can only be blocked by another elusive unit. So it's easy to get some damage in if your opponent doesn't have these, but they're very popular in the meta right now. A lot of people are running elusive units. So what this deck does is it makes your elusive units stronger than theirs, so that way you win trades, you're able to kill their units and then do a lot of damage. So the units it has is a Green Glade Duo. We have 3 copies of that. It's a 2/1. Every time you summon an ally, it gets stronger for that round. Next one is Navori Conspirator. This is a 3/2, and to play him you have to recall an ally. Now that might seem like a downside at first, but this is actually one of the best cards in this deck, and I'll show you why in a second. The other cards that are elusive in here are going to be Shadow Assassin, 2/2 elusive. When he's summoned, draw 1 card. Also Solitary Monk. This card is 4/3 elusive. When it's summoned, recall all other allies. Then we also have Kinku Lifeblade, 4 mana, 2/3 elusive with Lifesteal, which is pretty huge because these cards will get buffed up and be larger than this. And then the last one is called the Empyrean, which is your big guy here, 7 mana, 6/5 elusive. This is what you end up closing out the game with a lot of the time. So the other big feature of this deck is going to be buffing up your elusive units and making them stronger than they normally are, which requires you to bounce some of these cards back into your hand. So the cards that buff up your deck are going to be Inspiring Mentor. You definitely want 3 copies of this in the deck. This is a 1/1. When you play it, you get to buff any ally in your hand +1/+1. It's a wonderful card. It's honestly one of the best cards in the game. We also have 3 copies of Omen Hawk. Omen Hawk's another 1/1. When summoned, he grants the top 2 allies in your deck +1/+1. We have Keeper of Masks. When this is summoned, you give all other allies +1 this round. We have Sown Seeds. This is a 2-cost card. We only have 1 of these in the deck. Situational, but it can be very good. Just grants the allies in hand +1/+0 permanently for 2 mana. So if you have this in your opening hand, and you have 2 or 3 elusive units and give them all +1 to start off the game, it can be really strong. Then we also have, let's see, Take Heart. We got 3 copies of this. Take Heart is grant a damaged ally +3/+3 permanently. So you can actually, block with one of your elusive units, take a little bit of damage, then buff them up +3/+3 that same round, and then you can do a lot of damage there. And then the last buffing card here is the Avarosian Heartguard. Avarosian Heartguard is when he's summoned, grants all allies in your deck +1/+1. There's also only 1 copy of this, but when you do get to put him out, it can be very powerful. So the main way that this deck buffs up your cards and gets them much stronger than your opponents is by bouncing some of them back into your hand. Certain cards like the Navori Conspirator recall an ally, and also the Solitary Monk, when it's played, recall all allies, allows you to play the buff cards like the Inspiring Mentor and the Omen Hawk multiple times. And I'll show you some footage right now. Actually, we'll play this and bounce it back. Okay, and then I'll buff the Kinku.
Get me a sweet bun. Heightens the senses.
I'm going to bounce the Hawk back.
Stay safe.
And then play the Hawk. I Got another buff. Braum is also a very key part of this deck. Obviously, the deck's named Braum the Elusive. Braum has Challenger, so what that lets you do is grab the opponent when you're attacking and choose which of their cards blocks Braum. Now, normally, he's only a 0-5, but with this deck, a lot of the time he's going to be a 1-6 or even a 2-7 to start, and that's before he levels up. So you're able to grab their units and kill them rather than just taking damage. So I'll show you that now, too. Oh, look, there he is. And then dump those guys out. Attack. See. Kill his Braum or kill this thing? Probably kill his Braum.
My shield?
And the last few cards in this deck are going to be ones that are defensive spells to allow your guys to stay alive a little bit longer than normal. 3 copies of Elixir of Iron. This gives your ally +0/+2 this round. Lets you avoid certain spells your opponent's going to try to kill your minions with. We also have Deny. Deny, 3 copies of this is a must. I'm sure you've used this card in the past, but this will stop any other spells or skills. So if the opponent's trying to use Avalanche or trying to use any type of drain spell and kill your minions, you just deny that, stop what their plans were, and then you keep going. Then also we have in here Will of Ionia, 2 copies of this, which is just recall a unit. So this is going to stop any of their big strong units. So they say they put Tryndamere on the board, you can just recall him back into their hand. He doesn't get to attack, and they have to play him again for 8 more mana next turn. So that's the gist of this deck. So basically you're going to be playing your elusive cards and buffing them. So you're going to be playing your Inspiring Mentor and your Omen Hawk. You're going to bounce those cards back into your hand with the Navori Conspirator and play them again. And then when you play your other elusive cards, this Green Glade won't be a 2-1, it might be a 3-2 or a 4-3, and so on. So your cards are a lot stronger than they normally are because of this bouncing effect. Now, Braum is also going to be stronger. Any of the cards that you're relying on, there are 2 copies of Zed in here. That's just for some additional damage. Early game, you can get him on turn 3. He can do a lot of things for you. But most of these cards are going to be the elusive ones, which are going to do the majority of the damage for you. So this deck was made to win mid to early game. Usually between rounds 4 to 8, you're going to have victory with this deck. And a lot of times, once the opponent sees how many elusive cards you have out and they have no answers for them anymore because you've killed their elusive units, they're just going to surrender, which happens a lot. So look. There we go. I didn't think he had anything. He was just... There we go. See ya. So, there you go. Nice. Good win. And there's another surrender. He's probably gonna surrender. Yep, there it is. Is that like 7, 8 wins in a row? Alright, so that's it for this deck guide. Hope you guys have enjoyed it and have as good as luck as I did. Like I said, I've been crushing through ranked with this deck. It's very strong against the current meta with everyone else's elusives. I think you'll do great with it. The deck code will be in the description below. If you have any questions or anything, leave it in the comments. And I'll also have a link to some of my other decks right after this. So yeah, thanks for watching. Take it easy.